are they right? Will I just be another academic statistic, right? If I have a 3.2 GPA, does that mean that my chances are too low? Like if I have a 3.0 GPA, if I have a below a 3.0 GPA, does that mean that I'm too late? Does that mean that I'll never have a chance of making a comeback?
I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the
Hey, what is up? How you doing? My name is Joseph Ngugi. I'm a physical therapist. I'm also one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where for years we've been helping students like you get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. And so if physical therapy is the career that you're interested in, then you're on the right page. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and binge on as much free value as you can. And like I said, we're here all the time. We haven't stopped since who knows when. I think we've been serving students since like 2014. And so we would love to serve you on your journey. And on this video, I'm going to talk about something that a student brought up to me that I have heard before, but it was interesting because I was like, man, like it's crazy how much influence people that we look up to, whether it's professors and whatnot, have over us. And so basically, let me ask you this. If a professor came into the room, right, a professor that was teaching you one of your classes and said, most of you will never become physical therapists, and they said that with conviction, how would you feel? What would you say? What would you say? So the reason why I'm even posing this is because there's a student that I spoke to over the last week that told me that this is what they were told. And when they were told this, they freaked out. They started doubting themselves. They were like, man, maybe I'll never become a physical therapist. I know that this has been my dream since sophomore year of high school, but what if it doesn't work out, right? And so this fear came from someone that they were looking up to, right? And shoot, it doesn't matter whether it's high school or college. We do look up to the people that instruct us, right? And so in our heads, it's like, well, I already had my own doubts, but now here goes somebody else that is clearly a little bit further ahead than me, even if they're not a physical therapist, which we'll talk about in a little bit, right? But here's someone that's a little bit ahead of me who's basically said, most of you statistically will not become physical therapists, and they leave it at that. And what it does is instantly the entire classroom has an increased level of doubt. Right. And so my question to you is this. Let's talk about this because this is super important, because whether or not someone has ever had this conversation with you, or whether or not someone's ever said that to you, there are different things that plant seeds of doubt in all of us. Right. And the more you let those seeds grow, the more doubt you allow to kind of exist, the more you will consider backup options. And if you followed us for a long time, you know that we don't rock with backup options, especially if you know that physical therapy is the career that you've been called to do. But let's talk through this and figure out, okay, like, how do we process this? Like, are they right? Will I just be another academic statistic, right? If I have a 3.2 GPA, does that mean that my chances are too low? Like if I have a 3.0 GPA, if I have a below a 3.0 GPA, does that mean that I'm too late? Does that mean that I'll never have a chance of making a comeback? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Now, let's kind of talk through it, right? Because I think this is the value of this particular training and a lot of the trainings that we provide for you. But it's understanding this one very real concept is that anyone can get into PT school, but not everyone will. Obviously, right? Because there's only a certain amount of seats. But hold on, let's talk about it. Like, it's not what you think, because most of us think, most of us won't. Only the people with 4.0s, only the students that are amazing at the standardized exams that'll do well on the GRE. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Like anyone can get into PT school. If you currently have, let's kind of talk about anyone. Let's like literally like lay out what anyone means in this context. So if you have a 2.4 GPA right now, you still have the ability to get into school. Now, will you get into school in the current state you're at? No, but do you have the ability to get into school? Of course, we've seen it, right? If you've been rejected 3 years in a row, 2 years in a row, 1 year, 4 years in a row. If you've been out of school for 7 years, 10 years, we actually had a student that just got into PT school and she's currently 39, right? So she had gone down a different career path. So I do not like whatever your biggest obstacle is right now. Anyone means anyone. Anyone can get into school, but not everyone will. So what is it that shifts from anyone, but also now filters that group of anyone to the ones that ultimately will get accepted into PT school? What's the difference? Well, not everyone will, because of these things. Number one, If you let comparison run your life, it's going to make things much harder, right? So that's one of the things, right? So if I'm spending most of my energy comparing myself to other classmates, or comparing myself to other peers, or comparing myself to other students that I see online or whatever, I'm seeing other people get accepted before me. We used to be freshmen together. They got accepted a year before. I'm applying next year. I have lower grades. Yeah, comparison will ruin your life because you'll spend so much time focusing on them and less time focusing on the two things that matter most. And those two things are, number one, working on yourself and what will help you get one step closer to your dream. And then step number two is, of course, figuring out what the schools that you're applying to actually want. Because your classmates are not the ones that are going to decide whether or not you will get into PT school. The schools are going to decide. So where should I put most of my energy? On peers or other students that I'm comparing myself to, or on the programs that are actually going to make the decision on whether or not I'll be in their program? So that's the first reason why a lot of students end up not getting into school. It's not because, remember, anyone can get in, but not everyone will, because you might be you might be letting comparison run your life, right? Another one is letting the opinions of those who have never been, well, overvaluing the opinions of other people who have never been on this path before. That could be your parents. That could be professors like this person. I don't know. That could be your advisors, right? Just pay attention to the journey that they have been on and understand that if they have been on the path that you're on right now, and they're believing in you, then okay, they're probably worth listening to, right? But if they've never been on the path that you're on, do not overvalue their opinion, because they're going to give you opinions based off of their experience, which is not the same experience as you. So for example, if I'm talking to someone that initially had a dream career and they gave up on it, well, guess what? If I listen to them, they're going to be the first to tell me that maybe being a physical therapist is not what I was meant to do. Maybe I need to be more realistic. Maybe I need to have a backup option, because that is their reality. They were not on the path that I'm on. And also remember, like if they haven't been on the path that you're on, they don't understand how much you love it the way you do, because this is your dream. It's not theirs. Does that make sense? Right? And so maybe that's one of the reasons that's holding you back. What about asking for permission from family and friends instead of support? So I'm asking them for permission on, whether or not I should apply, whether or not I should do this, whether or not I should leverage resources to help me get closer to my dream. Yeah, like I'm asking them for permission. Remember, it's not their dream. Ask them for support. When people love you, they want to support you, but you have to ask for it. Remember, anyone can get into school, not everyone will, because of these things. Like, we overvalue the opinions of other people. We ask for permission before we ask for support. We also try to do the bare minimum. So if you're doing the bare minimum, if you're like, well, okay, like I have just a good enough GPA. Well, I really don't want to take chemistry again. I know I got a C, but it was so hard. I don't want to take it again because it was just so overwhelming. I don't want to do that again. Can I get in with just like my C? Like, what if I only have one C? What if I only have two C's? Well, that's a bare minimum pre-PT. If that's the case, well, you're now putting yourself in a position where you're lowering your chances of ever becoming a strong applicant, because you're saying, I'm going to do the bare minimum, instead of saying, what is it that I need to do to give myself the best chance despite my current circumstances? Does that make sense, right? So here's another one. You are slow to taking action. Right? If you're slow to taking action, if you spend most of your time watching videos or listening to podcasts like our platform, right? And all you do is ingest all of this information, and you're like, man, like, where's the next piece of value going to come from? Where's the next tip and trick that'll help me get into school? But you're doing very little with the information you're getting. Well, you are what we call an information junkie, right? And that's not going to get you anywhere close to your dream. So are you slow to taking action? Another one is, do you rely on procrastination to fuel you? Are you a student? I used to do this all the time, fam. Like, are you a student that relies on procrastination to basically light a fire up your butt, right? Like, it's like, well, like when I wait till the last, day or two before an exam, I do better because I'm so focused. I don't sleep well, but I'm just focused. Well, if I wait till the last possible moment for the GRE, maybe the same thing will happen. If I wait till the last possible moment to pick the right schools, maybe the same thing will happen. Maybe the same thing will happen when it comes to trying to figure out when to submit my application. Y'all, like we assume that that's a good good thing. It's not. It's not. Just because you've survived off of procrastination doesn't actually mean that it's working for you. Y'all, like we always say, like the biggest killer of your dreams as a pre-PT is the P word, procrastination. So when someone walks into a room and said, most of you will never become physical therapists, it's not because you can't become a physical therapist. It's because most of you make decisions that lead you to not give yourself the opportunity to become one. Because we do a lot of these things. And like, there's a much longer list that I could have had, but what I want you to kind of grasp from this is that it's within your control. It is. It's a decision you have to make. Like at this point, I'm pretty sure like most of the biggest obstacles that students experience, we've seen them all like basically like being leveraged by students who have been able to get into school despite them. 2.4 GPAs, 20 plus rejections the previous cycle, 4 years getting rejected in a row, being 20 years out of school. We've seen it all. And like at the end of the day, it's just a matter of like whether I'm going to use that as my excuse as to why I'll never be good enough, or am I going to use it as my fuel to say, I'm going to use this experience. I'm going to use what many might see as a downfall. I'm going to use it as my leverage, as my fire to do what I need to do to be resourceful so that I can get into my dream career. So that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I am still fulfilled within my career because I did what I was called to do, not what other people want me to do. Does that make sense? It's your choice. What are you going to decide? No, just decide. Freaking decide. That's it. So that's the training. That is the conversation we had. I shared that with that student, but I felt like this was valuable. Now, if this was helpful to you, can you let me know in the comments below what was the most valuable piece of this training? What stood out to you the most? Please let us know, of course. Share this out with your friends, tag us on social media, find a clip of this and you'll be like, yo, like this was amazing. Like feel free to post it on Instagram, tag us on it. We'd love to hear what your feedback is, but y'all keep leveling up, keep pushing yourself. We got you. And of course, if you want to know what your next best steps are, if you want a resource that will help you move even closer to that, we have a training called, if you go to rejectionproofprept.com, we will show you how to start being rejection proof despite wherever you're currently at in your journey. We will show you how to do that. And if you do that, you'll be rock solid and you'll absolutely crush it. You will be a physical therapist. Nothing will hold you back. So go to rejectionproofprept.com and we'll see you on the other side. Have a great one. I hope this was valuable to you. Remember, anyone can get into physical therapy school, but most won't. Many won't. But it's not because someone else told you won't. It's not because you can't. It's because of those decisions that I talked to you about. So it's your choice. Go crush it. We'll see you on the next training. Bye.